Hi, we're going to take a look at practice test. Well, it's called 2, but it's also called 6, and I think of it as if x equals 3. So let's take a look if x equals 3. Let's start with number 1. Um, Number 1, we've got if x equals 3, then x squared plus 2x minus 12 equals what? So 3 squared plus 2 times 3 minus 12. We've got 9 plus 6 minus 12. 15 minus 12 is 3. And so I think C is the answer for 1. For number 2, we've got 3 2x minus 1 equals 11x plus 27. We need to do some distributing here. So 6x minus 3 equals 11x plus 27. I'm going to move the x's to the right side and the numbers to the left side. And so I'm going to have negative 30 equals 5x, or x equals negative 6. X equals negative 6, which is choice F. Problem number 3. To make space for new merchandise, clothing is a store is offered at a 15% discount. What is the sale price of a jacket that regularly sells at $42? Well, you could find 15% of $42 and then subtract that from $42. But if you think about it this way, 42 minus 0.15 of 42, you realize you could factor out that 42. And so you've got 1 minus 0.15. And so you find that you're doing $42 times 0.85, or 85% of the actual cost. If I pull out my calculator and do 0.85 times 42, I end up with 3570, which corresponds with choice C. Problem number 4. Problem number 4 says in the line in the figure below, one angle is 60 as shown. What's A? Well, we remember from our geometry class that these are corresponding angles and therefore congruent. And these are a linear pair. They form a straight line, and they must be supplementary. So I know A is 120 degrees, which is why J is my choice for number 4. Number 5, x equals 3, y equals 5, w equals 4. Evaluate this expression, so I'll plug in a 3 of 4 plus 3 times 4 over 2 minus 3 squared times 5. Okay, well, we could do this a couple of ways. I like to think about factoring a 3 out and making my life easier and doing a little simplifying here. But most students don't want to do that for some reason. They want to just evaluate this and evaluate this and evaluate this and then add them all together. I think I'm going to be stubborn and do it my way, since you're going to do it your way anyway. We've got 6 here minus 3, because I'm taking out one of those 3's, minus 15. Okay, so 70 minus 15 is 55 times 3. I get 165. And that seems to be the reason why I'm not going to factor it out, because it's not one of the choices. All right, let's go back to the beginning and do it carefully. 3 for x, 4 to the third is 64, plus 3 times 4 over 2 minus 3 squared times 5. Okay. So we've got 64 times 3, which is 192. We have 4 times 3, which is 12, divided by 2, which is 6. And we have 9 times 5, which is 45. 192 minus 45 plus 6, and I get 153 when I do it properly and carefully, and that's choice D. See, there's a reason to go slow and show your work. Problem 6. Problem 6 says, FOIL. 3x minus 5, 4x plus 3, 12x squared plus 9x minus 20x minus 15. And so when I combine like terms, I have 12x squared minus 11x minus 15, which corresponds to number H, or letter H. H for number 6. 7. Absolute 5 minus 8 minus absolute 9 minus 3. Well, 5 minus 8 is negative 3, but the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. 6 minus 3 is 6. The absolute value of 6 is 6. So we've got 3 minus 6. We get negative 3 for our answer, and that's choice B for number 7. Number 8. Number 8, we've got 5 root 3 squared. Well, here we have to square the 5 and square the root 3. 5 squared, root 3 squared is going to be 25 times 3, or 75. And that's choice K for number 8. Number 9. Number 9 says we've got a carpeting company. They're going to say 18 feet by 18 feet. So x is 18 and y is, x is 15 and y is 18. I believe that's what I understood them to say here. Yes, x by x on the room, so we've got 15 times 18 plus W is the width of the stairway, Z is the length of the stairway, and those are 6 feet each, so we've got 6 times 6 times 2. N is the number of stairs, which is 8, minus 1, close parentheses, plus 2 times 8, close bracket. All right, let's start in here. We've got 16 minus 1 is 17. So 6 times 17 plus 16. And all that will be multiplied by 6, and then we still have our 15 times 18 here. Okay, so let's see what some of these things are. We've got 6 times 17. That's going to be 102. 102 plus 16 is 118. We need that times 6. And we need 15 times 18. 15 times 18 is 270. And 6 times 118 is 708. So we've got 708 plus 270 is 978 for number 9. And that isn't one of the answers. So let's go back and check again. xy plus 6, because 6 is the width of the stair. Bracket 6, parentheses, 2 times the number of stairs, 8 stairs, and that does say 6 by 6. With 8 stairs, okay, we've got 2 times 8, minus 1, close parentheses, plus 2 times 8. Okay, 8, oh, that's 15. I did plus 1 instead of minus 1. So that's 90, 106, 106 times 6, which is going to be 636. So 8, 906. 906. And that's choice C. Watch out for little sign mistakes. Okay, 10. 10 says 7 blue balls, 5 white balls, and 3 red balls. That's a total of 15 balls. And what is the probability that when you draw a ball at random from the urn, it will not be red? Well, not red are the blue ones and the white ones, and there are 12 of those. And so that reduces to 4/5, which is choice K. All right, that's the first 10. 11. 11 says a certain watch costs 100, a pearl necklace 300. The cost of the watch is increased by 5%, and the cost of the pearl decreases by 10%. So we've got 105 plus 0.9 times 300, 270 plus 105, 375. And the sum of the new costs is A. A for number 11. 12. Figure below, CA is tangent to the circle at point T. AT is 6 units. AT is 6 units. CT is 8 units. And CO is 10 units. Okay, so with number 12, it's important to remember that this is really a Pythagorean theorem problem. We're told that CT is 8. We're told that AT over here is 6. I don't really need that piece of information, but I do know that CO is 10. If I use Pythagorean theorem, I can get the radius of the circle. R squared plus 8 squared equals 10 squared. This is a 3, 4, 5 Pythagorean triple. So if I remember my triples, I can go the short way. Otherwise, R squared equals 100 minus 64, or 36, which means R equals 6, the square root of 36. That corresponds to choice H for number 12. 13. 13 says A equals BC, B equals X, so I can replace that with an X. And then it says C equals YZ, so I can replace that with YZ. What is A times B? Well, here's A, and B was X. So A times B is going to be X, Y, Z times X, or X squared Y, Z. X squared Y, Z looks like choice A for number 13. 14. Which of the following meets these conditions? Minus 5 is less than negative 3x minus 7. Okay, let's add 7 to both sides. Add 7 to both sides. We get 2 is less than negative 3x. We need to divide by negative 3. Remember, when you divide or multiply by a negative in an inequality, you have to change the direction of the inequality. And so we get x is less than negative 2/3. X is less than negative 2/3 is choice G. G for number 14. Let's take a look at 15. The slope of the line is determined by this equation. Y minus 1/3 x plus 3/5 equals 0. Well, I know y equals mx plus b will tell me the slope of the line, so I'm going to add this to both sides. And subtract this from both sides, so now it says y equals 1/3 x minus 3/5. And I know that this number, y equals mx plus b, 1/3 must be my slope, and that corresponds with choice C. 16. For which of the following expressions of the equation 4x minus 2y equals 12 is in slope-intercept form? Well, they want me to solve this for y equals, so I'll subtract 4x, and I'm going to have negative 2y equals negative 4x plus 12, and then I'll divide everywhere by negative 2, and I'll get y equals 2x minus 6. Y equals 2x minus 6 is choice H, H for number 16. Number 17 says, which of the following values in the equation 3x plus 3a minus 5 equals 5x minus a causes the solution for x to be 6? All right. Well, if x is 6, 3 times 6 is 18 plus 3a minus 5. If x is 6, 30 minus a. And now I've got one variable. I'm going to combine like terms over here and have 13 minus 3a equals 30 minus a. I'm going to move all the a's onto this side and the numbers onto that side. So I'll have negative 17 equals 2a, or a equals negative 17 over 2, which is negative 8.5. Let's see which answer that is. That is A. A for number 17. 18. 18 says you've got a bunch of circles inside of all the others, inside of the big circle, and I need to draw a little larger. There we go. Okay. Diameter, diameter, diameter. If I add up these three diameters, I have the diameter of the big circle. The circumference of the small circle is 8 pi. Well, we remember that the formula for circumference is 2 pi r, or pi d. So I know the diameter of the small circle is 8. This is 8. This is 8. This is 8. The total diameter for the big circle is 24. I read the question again to see what they're looking for. They say, what's the circumference of the large circle? Well, again, circumference is pi d. We determine that 24 is the diameter here, so 24 pi is the circumference of the large circle, and that's choice G. G for number 18. 19, recipe calls for cooking turkey 1 hour for every 3 pounds. 1 hour for 3 pounds. And our turkey is 19 pounds. So we want to know how many hours for 19 pounds. Well, if I multiply both sides by 19, these cancel. I get my number of hours by itself, which looks like 19 divided by 3, which is 6 1/3 hours. Notice pounds cancel with pounds. Okay, so we've got 6 1/3 hours. Well, I know that there are 60 minutes in an hour, and so 1/3 of 60 is 20 minutes. 20 minutes is 1/3 of an hour, which is why choice B is our choice for number 19. Let's take a look at number 20. Number 20, the line intersects parallel lines, angle measures shown. What is the degree of angle A? Well, this is like that problem we were talking about a few minutes ago, where they give us this, and they want this. We remember that alternate interior angles are congruent, but again, these angles are linear pairs, so they must be supplementary. That means they add up to 180 degrees, so A must be 100, which is why J is our answer to number 20. In 21, it looks like similar triangles. We've got small triangle to big triangle. 5 is to 4 as 12 is to x. I cross multiply, I get 5x equals 48, or x equals 48 divided by 5. 48 divided by 5, 5 goes into 48 9 times with 3 left over. So we have 9 3/5, which is choice D for 21. 22. Let's take a look at 22. The lengths of adjacent sides of a rectangle playground measure 4x minus 3 and 2x squared plus 7. Represent the area of the playground. Well, the area is the product of the length times the width. And so I want 2x squared plus 7 times 4x minus 3. And that'll give me 8x to the third plus 28x minus 6x squared minus 21. And that corresponds to choice J. J for number 22. 23. Which is the prime factorization of 2100? Well, 2100, if you start by dividing by 2, you're going to spend a lot of time doing this. I see this as 21 times 100. This is 3 times 7 times 10 times 10. And those 10s break down to 2 times 5 and 2 times 5. So our prime factorization looks like 2 squared times 3 times 5 squared times 7. And that corresponds to B. B for number 23. 24. After Jean spent 90% of her vacation money, was spent, which means she only has 10% left, and 10% is $100. So 10% of the vacation money is $100. Well, that's 0.10 V equals 100. And so if I divide both sides by 0.1, I get V equals $1,000. She started off with $1,000. Did she start off with $1,000? She had 10% left. That was 100. 10% of her vacation money was left. And so that's J. That makes sense, right? Because she spent 90% of it. That would be $900. 1,000 minus 900 leaves her 100. Oh, I like that. Okay, 25. 25 says, which is the simplified version of 2x plus 1 over x minus 3 over 5x. So I want to make a common denominator here by multiplying by 5 over 5. Don't forget to distribute this as well. You need to distribute this negative. And so I'm going to have 10x plus 5 minus x plus 3 minus a minus is plus over 5x. If I combine like terms, I get 9x plus 8 over 5x. 9x plus 8 over 5x. And that is D. D for number 25. 26. 26 says if 2x squared minus x minus 15 is equal to 0, what are the two possible values for x? So we're going to factor this trinomial. 2x, x, 3, 5, minus, plus, and then set each factor equal to 0. We get x equals 3 and x equals negative 5 halves. X equals 3 and x equals negative 5 halves. 3 and negative 5 halves is choice J. They quite like J in this test. All right, that was 26, 27. If all the angles in the figure below are right angles, each side is 4. What is the area in square centimeters? Well, if these are 4 by 4, then the area here is 16, and 16, and 16, and 16, and 16. I have 5 times 16, or 80. 80 square centimeters, and that is choice E. E for number 27. 28 says M is located at negative 1, 2. That's the midpoint. There's a long way to do this problem where you use the midpoint formula twice. I don't like doing it that way. I like doing it this way. 2, 9 is A. The midpoint is negative 1, 2. And I'm looking for a point B. So look, how far is it to go from this endpoint to this midpoint? It's down 3. So to get from the midpoint to the other endpoint, I need to go another down 3. Minus 1 minus 3 is minus 4. How far is it from this end to this middle? I went down 7. So to go from the middle to the other end, I'm going to go down another 7, which will be negative 5. So negative 4, negative 5 is my ordered pair there, and that corresponds with choice G. G for number 28. 29. 29, we've got a right triangle with degrees marked. It's a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. 60, 30. We're looking for this. We know this. Well, so if you're comfortable with your trig, you could say the tangent of 30 is 3 over x, or x is 3 over tan 30. But myself, I would prefer to remember my shortcuts. Remember, the short leg times 2 in a 30, 60, 90 right triangle will give me the hypotenuse, but the short leg times root 3 will give me the long leg. So this is 3 root 3. I'll get there eventually with this, but that's a lot faster to remember that recipe. So I've got choice C. 30, problem 30. To increase the mean of 5 numbers by 3. So I'm adding up 5 numbers, and that means I have to divide by 5 to get the mean. If I want to add 3 to this mean, think about what has to happen. What would be the new sum? Well, if I multiply both sides by 5, it turns out I had to add 15 to that mean. The original mean times 5 would have been the sum of the original numbers, but we've added 15 to that so that the mean goes up by 3. And that's why J is our answer for number 30. 31, Josh pounded a stake into the ground. Good for Josh. When he attached a leash, the dog's leash, he could walk 12 feet from the stake in any direction. So that's a circle with a radius of 12 feet. That's a pretty short radius, but okay. Use 3.14. What is the approximate area of the lawn where the dog could roam? Well, pi r squared is the area of a circle, so we're going to have 144 times 3.14. We'll pull out our calculator. 144 times 3.14, and we get 452.16, which looks like choice E. Okay, 32. 32 up here says television screen. Chad had 19-inch screen similar. The car screen appeared 12 inches. Okay, so we've got 19 to 32, and 12 inches on the 19-inch screen would be how many inches on the 32-inch screen? So 19x equals 12 times 32, or x equals 12 times 32 divided by 19. So 12 times 32 divided by 19 gives us a little more than 20 inches, and that's choice H. H for number 32. 33. 33. So we have this interesting figure drawn here where we've put in a square there, and there, and there, where this is 2x and this is x. Now they tell us that the area here is 25, and I know that this area is side squared. Well, using the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, x squared plus 2x squared equals c squared, I get 5x squared equals c squared. Or c, oh wait a second, isn't c squared this area? Because this is c and this is c. So I know 5x squared equals 25. X squared equals 5, and so x equals root 5. So then they say, what's the area of the big outside square? Well, we know this is 2x plus x for a total of 3x, and this is 3x. So our area is 9x squared when x equals root 5. So 9 times root 5 squared. Root 5 times root 5 is 5, times 9 is 45, and I get that D is the answer to 33. 34. So we haven't covered this yet. We'll be covering this a couple of units from now when we're given side angle side. This is a law of cosine situation. So I'm not going to go any further. I'm just going to say we'll be learning about that soon. But with side, angle, side, see, they gave me a side, an angle, and a side. I can use law of cosines. 35. 35 on the next page says, which of the following graphs is the equation of y equals 4x minus 2x squared over x? Okay, well, so first thing I do is I factor an x out of the top, maybe even a 2x, leaving me 2 minus x, and an x on the bottom. Oh, look, there's a hole at x equals 0, but otherwise I've got negative 2x plus 4. So a linear equation with a hole at 0. This linear equation has a negative slope, and I see that choice C is a linear equation with a negative slope and a hole at 0. So C for number 35. 36. 36 says a line in a plane. Okay, so here's a plane, goes on forever. I'm bounding it. Here's a line, and the line goes on forever just like the plane does. And how many sets of points do not contain the line? Well, this is a set of points, and this is a set of points. There are 2 sets of points that do not contain the line. Now, granted, there's an infinite number of points in this set, and an infinite number of points in this set, but there are 2 sets of points that do not contain the line. Okay, so 36 is H. Let's take a look at 37. That's the maximum number of distinct diagonals that can be drawn in a hexagon. Okay, so I can draw diagonal 1, 2, 3. Remember, diagonals can connect non-adjacent vertices. This vertex is adjacent to this one, so that is not adjacent. That is adjacent. This one is not adjacent. This one is not adjacent. This one is not adjacent. But this one is adjacent to that. So we've got 3 diagonals from that vertex. From this vertex, we have 1, 2, 3 more. And I would expect 3 from each of these vertices. However, some of them are going to be duplicates. I should start counting. I've got 6, 7, 8. This one already exists. And so do I have 8, but I need 3 at each vertex. 1, 2. Oh, I'm missing one here. I need this one. That's going to be 9. There's 3 there. There's 3 there. There's 3 there. There's 3 there. I've got 3 at all of them, and that required 9. So number 37 is going to be choice B, or 9. Okay, circle tangent to both the x and y axis lies in third quadrant. So if I'm thinking about third quadrant and tangent to both of these, I need this radius to bring me right here. Okay, so which does that? Well, I notice that the center for each of these is -4, -4. That must mean I went 4 down and 4 over. So I remember the formula for circle from last semester. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. That's going to be x plus 4 squared plus y plus 4 squared. Our radius is 4, but this says r squared, so we need a 16 here. So we want 2 pluses and a 16, and that corresponds with choice J. See, they are J happy. 39. 39 says put these in order. Well, I'm not so comfortable with this as I was in middle school, and I want to figure out that 3/5 is 0.6, and then I need 5/6. 5/6 is 0.83, and I need 4/7. That's in here. 4/7 equals 0.57, and then 8/9 is 0.88. Now, it would seem that this is the smallest and this is the largest, but remember, all of ours are negative, and if we're headed in this direction, the smallest one is over here, -8/9, and the biggest one is -4/7. -4/7. Then -3/5 and -5/6. And that the order they want is the biggest one is on the right. That's -4/7, 5/6. That's choice A. Okay, problem number 40. 40, we're given this ellipse. Luckily, we don't have to know anything about ellipse because this is really just using a perimeter formula that they've given us to L squared plus W squared. Okay, so it says here that the length is 4 and the width is 3. So I'm going to plug a 4 in here. Oops. And a 3 in here. So 16 plus 9 is 25. 2 times 25 is 50. Pi over 2. This radical can reduce. It's square root of 5 times 5 times 2, so we can pull a 5 out. So I've got 5 pi over 2 root 2. 5 pi over 2 root 2. And that looks like choice F at the very top. Okay, number 40 was F. We're 2/3 of the way through. 41. 41 says a over 28 plus b over 126 equals 9a plus 2b over x. Okay, let's think about this. We're looking for x, and I think I just want to make a common denominator, and I believe that 126 is divisible by 28 4.5 times. So I'm going to multiply here by 4.5 over 4.5. But if I do that, I get 4.5a plus b. And over here, I don't see 4.5a plus b. I see 2b. And I see 9a, which is these values multiplied by 2. So if I'm going to multiply by 2, I have to take this 126 and multiply it by 2. And so I get 252 as my denominator, and therefore C is the answer to number 41. 42, which of the following expresses the meters a contestant must travel in 5-lap race around a circular track with a radius of r meters? Well, so this question is asking us about circumference, and if the radius is r, then our circumference would be 2 pi times big R. But we want to make 5 of these trips, so 10 pi r would be the total, and 10 pi r is choice K. K for number 42. Number 43. 43 looks tricky. We should be able to do this one, having just covered this stuff. So that missing angle up there is, oh, we haven't covered this. This is law of sines. We've used up 40 and 35, so this must be 105, and this is 27, and we're looking for this. So the law of sines wants us to work with opposite side angle pairs. So sine of 35 over 27 equals sine of 105 over x. And they want me to solve for x. So if I do that, I get x equals 27 sine 105 over sine 35. If I multiply both sides by 27 and divide both sides by sine of 35, as well as multiplying both sides by x to get x up on top. This corresponds to choice B, and we'll be covering law of sines and law of cosines in the same unit shortly. Okay, 44 and 45 use this table. So when I look at this table, Kaylee found used car purchasing list price $87.85. She calculates she's going to need to borrow $6,500. I notice the table says for every $1,000 borrowed. So if I divide this by 1,000, I see that she's borrowing 6.5 of these units. She wants to pay it back at 10% for 36 months. 10% 36 months is 3227 times 6.5 of those units. I multiply those together, 3227 times 6.5, and I get 209.755. 209.755. And that seems to correspond to choice H. H for number 44. 45. 45. Maximum amount Kaylee can budget for a car is $300 a month. Which of the following represents the maximum amount she can borrow? 5% staying, and she can borrow at 36, 48, or 60 months. Well, the lowest payment would be 60 months, 45. So she's going to pay $18.87 And if she divides at 5%, right? That's the number in 5%. If she divides her $300 a month by this, we can find out how many increments of 1887 she can afford to pay back. And that's 15.89. Well, each of these increments is $1,000, so times 1,000. And so the most is 15,898. And, oh, they don't, they want to know the maximum amount she can borrow at 5%. Well, she can't borrow 20,000. So the next closest is D, 15,000. She doesn't have enough quite to get to that 16,000 part. Okay, so that's 45. 46. 46, I squared is negative 1. We have 5 minus I squared. This is a foiling opportunity. 5 minus I, 5 minus I. We get 25 minus 10I plus I squared. They told us that I squared was negative 1, so 25 minus 10I minus 1. I get 24 minus 10I, and that corresponds to choice J again. Okay, 47. 47 says x and y are integers. Okay, so they're not fractions or decimals. These things are integers. Y is bigger than 12. 2x plus y equals 19. Okay, so if this were 12, then 2x would equal 7, and x would equal 7/2 or 3.5. But remember, y is bigger than 12, so let's put a 13 in here and see what happens. Now I get 6. I get 6 and divided, and I get 3. So x is now 3. So it looks like if y is bigger than 12, then x has to be less than 3.5. Because as I made y bigger, x got smaller. So x has to be less than 3.5. But wait, they're integers. And because they're integers, I can't have 3.5. I can only have 3. So x has to be less than 3. Okay, that corresponds with choice D. D, x is less than or equal to 3. 48. Okay, 48 says p q to the third t to the fourth is greater than 0. Okay, so if these are greater than 0, and we're multiplying these three things together, we know greater than 0 is positive. T to the fourth is always positive. But positive times these must also be positive, so this times this must be positive. Now, if I put a positive into each of these, I'll get a positive times a positive times a positive, which is positive. But check out what happens if I put in a negative in for each of these. If I put a negative in here, I get negative p, negative q to the third, negative times negative is positive, times a positive is greater than 0. So I like p and q being negative. I think these are negative and this is positive. Which of the following products must also be if positive? Well, p times q, because they'd both be negative. If t were negative and I raised it to the fourth, then I would have a positive. P, t, though, if I had both of these being negative, must be positive. Yeah, I don't know if there's a negative in here or a positive in here, so this could be either, and that's why that one doesn't work. I see that PQ has to work because these both have to be, I guess they could be both positive or they could be both negative, but in either case, PQ is going to be positive. So I'm going to go with choice F for number 48. 49. 49 says log base 3 of 81 equals x plus 1. I'll do a scorpion tail. I'll say 3 to the x plus 1 equals 81. I'll rewrite them so that the two sides have the same base. So x plus 1 equals 4, or x equals 3. That's choice A for number 49. Problem number 50. Problem number 50. Looks like a right triangle. We're given some sides. This one's 2, this one's 7. What does cosecant of t equal? Okay, so I want to find cosecant of this angle, which means I need hypotenuse over opposite. I have to use the Pythagorean theorem to find this. 49 equals 2 squared plus question mark squared. 45 equals question mark squared. I take the square root of both sides, and I get 3 times 3 times 5, or 3 root 5 here. So 7 over 3 root 5, but these people are old people. They are not yet dead, and so they insist on rationalizing. And so we have 7 root 5 over 15. 7 root 5 over 15 is choice H. Okay. 51. 51 says, flight instructor, $75 per lesson, plus a fee to use his plane. The charge for the use of his plane varies directly with the cube root. Charge varies directly with the cube root of the time. It says here that the time was 27 minutes and that the lesson was 120. Wait, it says 27 minutes of usage costs 120. Okay, so 120 equals k times cube root of 27. So 3k equals 120. K equals 40. Okay, we've got a k value. And now a 64-minute lesson. Okay, so we're going to do $75 plus the cost to use the plane, 40 cube root of 64. Cube root of 64 is 4 times 40 plus 75. 160 plus 75 is 235. 235? For a lesson involving 64 minutes of plane, what is the total amount? 75 cube root of 64. 64 is 4 times 4 times 4, cube root of 64, 160, 235. I don't see 235. I must have made a mistake back up here. Okay. The use of the plane varies directly with the cube root of the time the plane was used. It varies directly with the cube root of the time. Cube root of 27 is 3. Oh, this 120 included the $75 lesson. Oh, so $45 was for the plane fee and $75 for the lesson. Gotcha. I understand now. So this is 45. 45, and so k equals 15. And so here this is 15, and this is 15. And 4 times 15 is 60, and so I get 135, which is present, and that is choice D for 51. Okay, 52. 52, we're looking for the area of the triangle. In that same unit where we talk about law of sines and law of cosines, we'll learn that the area of the triangle is 1/2 C B sine D. So our C is 10, our B is 6, and our sine of D is 0.8. So I've got 60 divided by 2, 30 times 0.8, which is 24. And that's choice H. H for number 52. Let's take a look at 53. Number 53. '53 says, for the real numbers, when is this equation true? Well, so if I make x equal to 0, then I'm going to have absolute 3y equals absolute negative 3y. Well, absolute 3y is 3y, and absolute negative 3y is 3y, and that works when x was equal to 0. Let's see what happens when we make y equal to 0. We get absolute 2x equals absolute 2x, and those are the same as well. And so either x or y could be 0 in this case, and that's choice E. Either x or y could be 0. They don't both have to be. Just one of them could be. 54. 54 says we've got a rectangle. Yeah. I had to think about this one for a few minutes because I kept getting lost. Okay, so we've got these 1 by 1 rectangles, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. 6 that are 1 by 1. But what about rectangles that look like this? These are 1 by 2 rectangles, and I have 1, 2, 3 of those. Okay, what about rectangles that look like this? Those are 3 by 1 rectangles, and I've got 1, 2 of those. Okay, which ones haven't we considered? Well, what about 2 by 2? I could have this 2 by 2, but I could also shift that down and have this 2 by 2. And so there's 2 of those. Did I miss? I feel like I missed. I can't have a 1 by 3 because this only goes 2 wide. I can only have a 1 by 1 and a 1 by 2. I can have a 3 by 1. I can have a 2 by 1. Oh, we haven't looked at 2 by 1. 2 by 1. So that's 2 down and 1 over. That's this one. And I've got one of them. And then here's one right next to it. But I've also got this one. And this one down here. So there's 4 of those, 4 2 by 1s. So what do I have? 10, 14, 17. I found 17. I'm going with H for 54. Okay, 55. Ooh, we're on the last page. For all real numbers, 55. Y equals A plus 3x plus 5. The line passes through the point 311. Okay, so 11 equals A plus 3, and we said 311 plus 5. I'm going to distribute here. Actually, I'm just going to solve for A. I'm going to subtract 5. A plus 3 times 3. I'm going to divide by 3. I get 2 equals A plus 3, so A equals negative 1. If I plug that negative 1 back there, negative 1 plus 3 is my slope, so 2 is my slope. And it says here, what is the slope? And we said 2, so that was D for number 55. 56. 56. What is the ratio of the area of the little trapezoid to the big trapezoid? Well, so in order to find those areas, I need the formula for area of a trapezoid. And that formula is 1/2 height base 1 plus base 2. Here's the height, here's base 1, here's base 2. And in this picture, I don't see all that information. I don't see the height. I'm looking for height. I know that this length is 4, this length is 7, and if this part is 4, then this must be 3, and I'm told that this is 5. Oh, look, a 3 blank 5 right triangle. So this height must be 4. So 1/2 4, 7 plus 4, or 2 times 11 for 22. But wait, there's another one of these over here where we have to go through the same process. This time, our height is here, and this is 4. This whole side is 9, but since this is 4, this must be 5 up here. I know that this is 13, and I'm looking for my height. 5 blank 13, well, hopefully we know that that's a 5, 12, 13. So then I've got 1/2 12, 4 plus 9, or 6 times 13, which is 78, plus 22, which is an even 100. Oh, but wait, I want the ratio of these areas. I want this to this, so 22 over 78, or 11 over 39. And that's choice J. J for number 56. Okay, 57. 57 says when graphed, we've got y equals x squared minus 5, and y equals x plus 1, x squared minus 5, y equals x plus 1. One of these is a parabola shifted down, the other is a line shifted up 1, and so we see 2 points of intersection that we need to find by setting these algebraically equal to each other. X squared minus 5 equals x plus 1. X squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. X minus 3, x plus 2. Set each factor equal to 0, and we get x equals 3 and negative 2. 3 and negative 2. Now, if I take this 3 and I plug it in there, 3 plus 1 is 4, so my ordered pair here is 3, 4. And if I take this negative 2 and plug it in here, negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. So this is really supposed to be down here at negative 2, negative 1. And those are our 2 ordered pairs for intersection, which correspond to choice D. D for number 57. 58. 58. So with problem number 58, septagon, what is the sum of the measures of the 5 interior angles? Okay, so there's this formula that we talked about, the area of a regular polygon, and to use it we needed to find the measure of an angle, and that meant that we needed to find the total number of degrees inside the polygon, which was n minus 2 times 180 over n. So a septagon has 7 sides. 7 minus 2 times 180 over 7. I've got 5 times 180 over 7. Do I want over 7? No, I just want the total. I don't want to know how many are in each. This isn't a regular septagon. I can tell because the angles are different. So I get 900 degrees. But then I need to subtract the 70 and the 115 that are already there. So I'm going to do 900 minus 70 minus 115, and I get 715 degrees, which is choice K. 59. Let's take a look at 59. For all real numbers, x and y, such that the product of x and y and 4 is x, which of the following expressions represents the sum of y and 4 in terms of x? The sum of y plus 4. Well, that means I need to solve this equation for what y equals. Let's go back to this equation, divide both sides by 4, y equals x over 4. So when I have y plus 4 in terms of x, I'm going to replace this y with x over 4 plus 4. Do they need me to make a common denominator? Yes, they do. So times 4 over 4, and I get x plus 16 over 4, and that corresponds to choice E for 59. Finally, 60. We're given a cosine sum formula, but they give us the cosine sum formula, and so we need to think about the cosine of 7 pi over 12 as being the cosine of pi over 3 plus pi over 4, and so that's going to be cosine pi over 3 cosine pi over 4 minus sine of pi over 3 sine of pi over 4. Cosine of pi over 3, we know, look, they even gave us the unit circle values, but we've memorized them, so this will go very fast. We've got 1/2 times root 2 over 2 minus root 3 over 2 times root 2 over 2. Root 2 minus root 6 over 4 is my answer, and that is choice F. Okay, I hope this was helpful going through these problems for you. Good luck on your ACT.